Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, the 17th of June, 2025. I am... Oh no, I'm subscribed. I'm Graham Hughes. And this is Morning Brew on Politics Social. How you all doing this morning? We've got Francis, Sarah, Scott, we've got MH in the chat, we've got Diz and Veg Pie, we've got Michael, we've got Elle, we've got Liam, we have Alice Durham, we have Christopher Bolger, Simon. We have got loads of beautiful people. Megan Elite is in the chat. Hi, how you doing? All you need to do to join our friends in the chat is hit that big juicy subscribe button. As I alluded to moments ago. Wait for 1 minute and you will be allowed access to actually speak your brains. But don't be a troll, because we don't abide trolls here. We're not abridging a fairy tale, okay? No troll. This is a no troll zone. Okay, so we're going to get into, first of all, we're going to be talking about the G7 meeting, Trump, Iran, Israel. And then we're going to talk about the new inquiry, the national inquiry into child grooming cases. And we're going to have a look at the headlines as well. So there's a lot to get through this morning. So let's kick off with Trump's early exit from the G7. I don't know if anyone saw the footage of this yesterday, but Trump embarrassed himself in public again, like he does every time he goes out in public. He embarrassed himself again because he had a big, beautiful trade deal with the UK, and he opens up the little folder that's got a little leather padded folder. He opens it up, and the papers fall out all over the floor, leaving it up to our Prime Minister to get on the floor and pick up the pieces of paper on the floor. Quite fitting that as an allegory to everything that Trump does. He just, drops it on the floor and everyone else has to pick up the pieces because he's too old and fat and immobile to be able to do that himself. So yes, that was our trade deal. We got a trade deal. We got like this agreement that he won't put us tariffs that are as bad on as everybody else on us. But he'll probably backtrack on that in a few weeks anyway, because Trump always chickens out. So now he's left. He's just left. He's just gone. He's left the G7, which is a bit odd. He left a day early. He was supposed to be there today, and his official excuse was kind of something to do with he had a secret plan, a secret mission. So Macron, when asked, said, he's got to do something about the Middle East, like that things are kicking off between Iran and Israel to potentially nuclear-armed countries. Well, actually, Israel isn't potentially, it is nuclear-armed. But Macron said, I think he's left because of he's going to do that, and then Trump fired back saying, "No, I didn't. I'm not going. It's got nothing to do with the ceasefire. This is much bigger than that." And then he texted in all capitals on his little True Social, "Evacuate Tehran." Okay, Tehran's a massive city. It's absolutely freaking huge. Population of Tehran. Sorry, I can't type very well because I've got this microphone right in front of my keyboard. 9.8 million people. For the larger Tehran metropolitan area, 16.8 million people. And he sends out a tweet. The president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, puts out a little tweet saying, "Evacuate." Where? Why? What? How? Alice Durham, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. First chat of the day. Oh yeah, that award goes to Alice Durham. Thank you, Alice Durham. I think I'll give you a thank you. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. Taco Trump did a taco. Oh, hang on. Chicken Trump did a Taco Tuesday. Then it was a golf game. Yeah, that was his really important thing that he had to go and do, was to possibly play golf and, freak everybody out. This isn't diplomacy. This is a tantrum, Macron tried to throw Trump a bone here, but Trump bit his hand off. And meanwhile, what is Iran supposed to do? What are the Iranians supposed to do? These vague threats on Truth Social. Evacuate Tehran. Evacuate a metropolitan area of 16.8 million people. I mean, just please. So yeah, let's have a look at what's happening with Iran, Israel. Missiles are still flying. They've been flying now for 5 days. And Iran and Israel have exchanged more strikes. Some this morning. I think I got a notification about 7 o'clock in the morning that there'd actually been a strike in central Israel. There were loud booms heard, and that was just about an hour after there were explosions in Tehran. So yeah, tit for tat, missiles flying over other people's countries, and some of them getting through in Israel. And as I've spoken about many times in the past, I think it's really shit that people in Israel are having to fucking hide in the basement from attack because of Netanyahu. This is Netanyahu's fault. He chose to do this. This was a conscious decision to have a hostile military power have an excuse to fire missiles at them. See, here's the thing. Before Thursday, Iran wasn't firing any missiles at Israel. That wasn't happening. Now it's happening. Why is it happening? Because of Benjamin Netanyahu. That is the reason it's happening. Everyone in Israel needs to understand and appreciate that fact. So yeah, Israel has struck deep into Iran. It's got as far as Mashhad, which is like the other side of the country. And there's been hundreds of strikes all over Iran. And, when Trump left the G7 and Macron said, he's going to try and broker a ceasefire, he accused Macron of publicity seeking. Accuse your enemy of that of which you are guilty yourself. Indeed. No, publicity. Trump calling someone else out for publicity speaking, publicity seeking even. This is just mad, isn't it? But yeah, so Israeli cities have been hit, and the US is currently not publicly, officially, I should say, involved, but the pressure is building. Trump is saying that Iran must never have a nuclear weapon, and we've seen Benjamin Netanyahu. We have footage of him from the early 90s, so over 30 years ago, claiming that Iran was just a few years away from getting a nuclear weapon. Iran was about to allow inspections before Israel struck, which seems awfully fishy to many of us. And Netanyahu opposes diplomacy, claims that Iran was stringing America along. Well, I would have liked to have seen that play out, at least till Sunday. It's not like they were going, well, we might look into this in the December of 2029. No. They were saying, Sunday, we should have an agreement on allowing weapons inspectors back in to have a look at what we're doing. And Iran is accusing Israel, with some justification here, of sabotaging the deal. But I say Israel. It's Benjamin Netanyahu. It's one guy. It's one squishy little man who is causing all this fucking horror and heartache and suffering and death because he doesn't want to go to jail. This all kicked off just days before Iran looked like it was going to allow weapons inspectors to return to Iranian nuclear sites, or just inspectors. Actually, no, to be weapons inspectors. And that's no coincidence. They could have waited till yesterday. They could have said, "Oh well, they said they were going to do something on Sunday, and they didn't do it on Sunday, so we're going to fire these missiles at them." At least then you would have the facade of it being justified. You know, well, they went holding up their side of the bargain, but Iran were. Iran was working to an agreement which was supposed to be finished on Sunday, and Israel attacks on Thursday. Mate, you know. But at the end of the day, this is all Trump's fault. All of it is Trump's fault. Trump pulled out of the joint agreement with Iran, the Iran-US deal in 2018, just purely out of spite and ego. Obama had negotiated the deal, and Trump hated that without he did it without a cause, leaving a diplomatic vacuum, and it enabled Iran to ramp up enrichment and set the stage for today's chaos. And, it didn't. This madness didn't start last Thursday. It began in the mind of a petty narcissist. Can't bear the idea that his predecessor did anything right. But the thing is here. Right, and this is something that I didn't really get into yesterday too much. There's a civil war going on in MAGA at the moment because Trump's MAGA base is split. I mean, they're a bit of an unholy alliance anyway. They're quite queer bedfellows, to say the least. I mean, but Bannon is there with the Trump America first, ignore the rest of the world, isolationist scumbags, saying the US shouldn't fight Israel's war. And you've got Tucker Carlson, who's obviously on the side of Iran and on the side of Russia. And Russia and Iran have got very, close ties. He said we must not be dragged into this. And even Bernie Sanders is saying this is Netanyahu's war, which it is. Meanwhile, Netanyahu's gone full, neocon, saying, "Oh, it's Tel Aviv today. It'll be New York tomorrow." I really don't think that Iran's gonna launch weapons against New York. I mean, it's a bit far, isn't it? It's actually the other side of the planet. And Netanyahu is urging the US to join in. And there's a facility that they want to get to, and it's at the bottom of a mountain. It's under a mountain, essentially. And America has the technology to blow up whatever's there, blow it up. Israel don't have that technology, and that's why Netanyahu is absolutely desperate for the US to come in, because if they don't, then he can't achieve his aims of destroying all of Iran's nuclear program. And the place is called Fordow, and they're really pushing for Trump to use the mother of all bombs or whatever they need to use in order to destroy this facility. The thing is, though, Trump has portrayed himself as anti-war. He's the guy who, when you talk to MAGA people, and I've talked to MAGA people in real life, not just dickheads that you see on the on TikToks and things. I've met these dickheads in real life, and they claim that Trump is the only US president to never start a war, which is news to me, because I don't know how many wars that Biden started or Trump or Obama started. I don't remember any wars at all that they started, but I mean, there were wars that Republicans started that they had to sort of clean up. They had to clean up the mess of, because the Republicans had left it in a right old state, as they always do. I mean, imagine using the bathroom after a Republican. Oh my God, shudders to think, don't you? Messy bastards. And then Trump has initially refused to sign the G7 de-escalation statement. He flip-flops and then he signs it after vague language was added. He publicly trashes Canada's PM and criticizes the fact that Russia was excluded, like a big fucking weirdo. Oh, it's just the G8 without Russia. Oh, why isn't Russia? Where's my friend Putin? No one else likes me apart from Putin. Got news for you, Diaper Donny. Yeah, Putin doesn't like you either. Nobody likes you. He just pretends to like you because he knows what he can get out of you, because you're a thin-skinned narcissist. Dickhead. Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have a war. We wouldn't have a war if Putin was here. If Putin was here, we could have ice cream. Fucking hell. Trump is actively undermining US alliances while pretending to be a peacemaker. He's too weak to stand up to Netanyahu and too erratic to lead diplomacy. And he thinks Vladimir Putin's the answer to everything. Vladimir would know what to do. It's so embarrassing. He's just the king of cringe. So where does this all end? Does Trump going to authorize airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities? I don't know. What happens if Iran retaliates against US forces? What if shipping in the Strait of Hormuz is targeted? That's the little bit between the sort of peak of UAE and Oman and Iran on the other side of the Persian Gulf, coming out of the Indian Ocean. So yeah, there's a lot of fuel that goes through there. Not least a lot of our gas. Like, how much gas do we get from Qatar now? Let's have a look. Let's look it up on Google. How much gas from Qatar? Oh my God, it's not Watar, Graham. Comes to UK. In 2024, Qatar supplied. Oh, is that all? No, there you go. Overall gas import. So the UK's its largest portion of its gas comes from the North Sea and Norway. That's 33.8%. The remaining 30% of the UK's LNG imports are from Qatar. That is so those ships where Qatar is located on the map, those ships have to go through the Straits of Hormuz, and if they don't go through there, then that's closed off by the Iranians. Our gas prices are going to go up again, and what are our energy prices based on for some stupid fucked up reason that no one can adequately explain why it is? It's the unit price of the most expensive commodity, which is at the moment is gas, and it will go up even more because 30% of our LNG comes from Qatar. So the Strait of Hormuz is attacked. It's shut off from international shipping, and then I mean they'll have they'll have escorts, won't they? They'll have the military escorts. That costs money. You got to pay. You don't get that for free. Someone's got to pay for it. And will anyone in Iran, in Israel, the US, the EU, NATO, will anyone take Trump seriously after these years of incompetence and incoherence, covfefe, years of covfefe? Thing is, Trump can't run from this one. He can't chicken out. He's got to make a decision one way or another. He can either bomb Iran, escalating things in the Middle East, or he can try and ignore it, which will escalate things in the Middle East. He's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't, because he's a scumbag, and I'm glad that he's in this situation. I'm not glad that this situation is taking place, mind you. I mean, it's a horrific situation I wish had never happened, but it has happened, and it's all his fucking fault, and he needs to fucking own it. He empowered Netanyahu. He invited this crisis. And now he's floundering on the edge of another catastrophic war that we're all going to get dragged into one way or another. You know, Trump always chickens out, but this time he can't. Both his options for chickening out result in failure for his administration, and he can't undo what he's already broken. This crisis is Trump's legacy. You know, chaos, cowardice, catastrophic misjudgment. So there you go. It's a very strange place to be. Evacuate Tehran. Jesus Christ. They're the words you just don't want to wake up to read on a Tuesday morning, is it? Taco Tuesday. Christopher Bolt, the Israeli ambassador, tried that too. Iranian missiles can reach London. Odd when the new missiles tested are assessed to only go as far as Israel. Yeah, Iran's not... This is going back to the whole weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. He's got weapons of mass destruction that can launch at any time. Is he going to send them? Is he going to send them to us? Are they going to fly all the way across Turkey, all the way across Europe to land in London? Are they? All right, okay. And they were talking about him having these chemical weapons, and they were in glass orbs. Do you remember this? They were in glass orbs. This is the most impractical way of moving chemical weapons around because they can break. And whoever came up with that report had just stolen that idea from the movie The Rock. Remember the movie The Rock with Nick Cage and Sean Connery in? Yeah. Remember that movie? Yeah. And they had the chemical weapons, didn't they? And they pulled it out, and it was in all these glass spheres, right? That's what the reports that they based the Iraq war was on. And now we're hearing the same bullshit from Israel. They think we were born yesterday. They really do. But unfortunately, for the people who support Brexit and the people who support Trump and all those twats, they are born yesterday. They're like fucking, they got the memory of a fucking goldfish. Unless it was something that personally irked them. Not affected them necessarily, but affected them. You still get people to this day whining about Gordon Brown selling some of the gold of Britain. Like, you know, which would be worth a nominal amount compared with these same people who don't go on about the fact that Thatcher sold our water and our telecommunications and our steel and our railways, you know, to the highest bidder, which happened to be the national, you know, for the sake of the railways, it was DB Bahn, it was Deutsche Bahn, it was in France, it was SNCF, it was state-owned rail transport companies actually bought into the British infrastructure. The electric grid was bought by someone. You know, we have all these private companies supplying us with electricity. We have private companies supplying us with gas, like we have an option. We have 3 gas pipes going to everyone's house. 3 gas pipes to everyone's, and you get to choose which one you want to use. Yeah, fuck, like you do. The same with the bloody cables, isn't it? You've got the cable network that was put in for cable TV in the 1990s, or the BT cables. That's it. They're your options. They're your 2 options. Thatcher gave away all the oil money. Yeah, another one, Pygmalion. We could have had a sovereign wealth fund like what they had in what they have in Norway, which is worth over 1 trillion kroner. And that's used the interest and the investments that they've made on that. They use that to fund all kinds of civic infrastructure and social benefits and social care and looking after everyone from the cradle to the grave. It's just crazy. Major privatised the railways. He did. We have private companies running the ambulances in London. Yeah. Well, we were talking about this on Sunday. If you watch the How We Fixed Britain with Gareth Trickett, who's might be in the chat. I don't know. I haven't seen Gareth T. Gareth T comes up, but he's usually driving his truck. So if you're at this time, so if you're listening, Gareth, how you doing, mate? It's all right. Just wave. Just give us a wave. You don't need to type anything, because when you're driving a HGV, the last thing you need is this to be typing. No, that's wrong game. But yeah, Gareth was talking about how not just the prisons are privatized, but the catering for the prisons is privatized to another company. We've got these mad hospitals that have been built where it's a part private funded thing where for 30 years they got all the service contracts, so they're charging 100 quid to change a fucking light bulb and all kinds of mad shit for the maintenance of the building. Off topic question: if a courier delivers to the wrong address and not even to neighbours, is the courier obliged to reimburse loss? Yeah, I think so. Should imagine so. They've got insurance. It's not like the courier person themselves is going to have to pay out of pocket, I don't think. The thing about capitalism is eventually you run out of companies to sell off. Well, it's not capitalism, is it? It's privatization. And you run out of companies, and that's what they did. But we've lost trillions. We've lost trillions of pounds that we could have had staying in this country has now been funneled out to pension funds in Canada, transport companies in Germany, in the Netherlands, in France, you know, the companies, electricity companies in Qatar. Fucking madness. Thatcherism and Reaganism, pure greed and cruelty. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, we're going to head over to the papers now because it's just coming up to past. So we'll head over to the papers. Here we go. We've got about the grooming gang, which I will talk about in a moment. But first, I just want us to muse on the fact that there's a horse race on. And so because there's a horse race on, it's very, very important that we show an image of a woman from the family. She's from the family. So she's got a nice pearl necklace, hasn't she? Oh shit, what happened there? You know, there's a race on, and so she's there in a hat, at a jaunty angle. Should I do the rest of the show like this with my hat at a jaunty angle? I look like Boy George. I'm going to stop doing that. Okay. Did anyone see Boy George's response to J.K. Rowling? Oh, chef's kiss. Please check it out if you haven't already seen it. Grooming gang scandal. Ethnicity of abusers was shied away from. Damning report finds 1,000 plus cases to be probed after betrayal of kids in lost decade. Home Secretary, there will be no hiding place from justice for evil predators. Never again. Yes, and I welcome this. Like, I absolutely welcome the fact that we're going to have a proper inquiry and it's going to be no holds barred. I think that's really good. What I don't think is really good is the performance of the Tories going, we've wasted, this is the words of Kemi Badenoch, we've wasted 6 months waiting for Baroness Katie to tell us what we already knew. Kemi, come here. Come here, dickhead. Right, listen. You twats were in charge for 14 fucking years. And you did fuck all. You did. You got an investigation put in place, an inquiry that was insufficient, right? But it did give you some recommendations, none of which you did. Zero. Duck egg. Nil pois. You leave with nothing. And now she's saying, oh, you've wasted all this time. What? Did they waste 14 years, Kemi? Did they waste 14 fucking years? Jesus Christ. And yeah, this should have been done years ago. And so for the Tories who were in charge for those years to have done fuck all about it, it's a little bit rich. I mean, the Tories are no stranger to absolute hypocrisy. It's in the name of the full title is of the party is the Conservative and Hypocrisy Party. That's what they're known for. That's what they're famous for. You know, it's like Colonel Sanders, famous for fried chicken. Jimmy Savile, famous for being a nonce. Conservative Party, famous for hypocrisy. Not just the rank hypocrisy of Partygate, where they told everyone not to go out and not see their mates, and they gave students who had small gatherings at their homes fines of £10,000. Meanwhile, every other night in number 10, they were having a piss up, literally pissing up the walls. Number 10, doing loads of gack, Bolivian marching powder, you know, breaking some swings in the back, having sex in the cupboard, fucking squirting fucking wine up the walls. Because they worked very hard in those press releases, you know. They worked very hard. Dear God. Dear God. But also the hypocrisy of the whole Brexit thing. I mean, I was reading the story today. It was quite sad. It was about a couple. A woman in 2007 had moved to Italy and she got married to an Italian man. And they lived in Italy with their 2 kids, but they always thought they'd come home to the UK. Especially as her parents are now in their 70s and she has to look after them, but she can't come back with her husband because if she wants to do that, she has to be earning £29,000 a year, or whatever the fucking limit is that was originally put in by Cameron, but now it keeps getting put up higher and higher. Or you've got to have like £87,000 in savings or something fucking crazy. Nothing to the multimillionaires who told you to vote for Brexit, but a fuckload to the rest of us. Impossible to the rest of us. Because they want to make it so they can marry someone from another country and have them come live here in this country with them. But you can't. I can't. That's the world they want to create. That's the world they want to make. Fucking scum. Sarah says, I've got planes and tickets for car shows with my car club in the next few months, but thanks to the transphobic bigots, my anxiety is growing and I don't know if I can go in case there's no disabled loos. Sarah, there will be disabled loos, and one bit of advice that we've had from our friend Rachel is to get, if you haven't already got this, which I'm sure you have, but if you haven't already got it, get a pass key, get a radar key. You can get them online and no one should have a problem with you using it. And stories that I've been hearing, and I know that the plural of anecdotes isn't data, and I'm just trying to say, look, in the real world, when people have been bigoted and horrible to someone who's trans, people have stood up and said, oi, fuck off. Why are you being a twat? Why are you being a twat? So I understand it's it can be. I understand the way you feel right now. I really do. But if we allow these bigots to put you under house arrest for no crime whatsoever, you have committed no crime except being your true, authentic self, which is not a crime. Okay, not a crime by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that these bored, feckless billionaires have got nothing better to do than to demonize a segment of society, and I the worst thing we can do is let them win, is let them get, see that fucking horrific picture of that horrible flat-chested man-looking turf, J.K. Rowling. Maybe if she looked a bit more feminine, she wouldn't be such a fucking massive trans hater. Maybe she just looks in the mirror and sees herself, and she goes, "Oh, I don't look very feminine, and these amazing trans women look more feminine than I do, and that upsets me. So I'm going to spend all my time and money demonizing them. I just don't want them to win. I just do not want them to win. So if there's someone you can go with and give you that sort of bump, give you that moral support, I'm sure there's people in the chat who would want to go to the car shows. Our friend Rachel, she loves car shows. She loves her cars. So yeah, if maybe get in touch and see who's going to what. And I think maybe a good idea would be to turn up in force. But yeah, it's my heart just goes out to you so much. It is so shit. And it's always the same motherfuckers who all my life have been making my life and the lives of my friends and the people I love a fucking misery. It's always the rich, pompous pricks that are just bored with life, so they demonize, they terrorize, they're just the worst. They're just the worst fucking people in the universe. And we need to have laws that fuck them over. Don't forget, all the shit that's going on in America right now, this bill that they're trying to get through with the parliament over there, their Congress, all of it is just so that the billionaires, getting Trump into a position of power, it's also the billionaires don't have to have their tax rate go up 2%. That's it. The billionaires don't want their tax rate to go back up, because it was about 39%. It went down to 37% with Trump's tax cuts in 2017, 2018, whenever he brought that in. And if there's no agreement by the end of this year, it goes back up. It automatically goes back up to 39%. So for 2% of what these motherfuckers are earning, they're like, no, we've got to destroy an entire country. Fucking the worst. Absolute worst. Plumduff, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. A nice message for today. Ren is a superstar, great cook, and loyal friend to this channel. I appreciate you, Ren. Have a wonderful day. Oh, thank you very much to Plumduff, and thanks to Gallifrey and Ren for being there on the channel, watching and commenting over the many years now. We've been going on this channel. So thank you to both of you. And to everyone who watches this, honestly, I couldn't hope for a nicer bunch. I was reading an article this morning about a tennis player who gets the most horrific abuse when she's playing a match, usually by people who have put a bet on her winning or losing or whatever. I mean, just like the most horrific things that people could possibly say on the internet. And I just feel like so grateful that the team that we have watching these shows and getting involved, it's Gareth coming on, or doing shows together. Don't forget, even like people like Mike started as someone who watched the show and then came on as a regular. Just really lovely people, and even people that you watch and you might think they've got a bit of an edge to them because they're quite sweary and they're quite funny in their own caustic way, like people like Supertansky and A. Thompson and people like that. They're fucking lovely. They are the nicest people you could ever hope to meet in real life. And I'm just glad that we've got this this gang that supports each other and wants the best for everyone. And I will encourage people to go over to the Discord server. I'm sort of really stuck for time at the moment. There literally are not enough hours in the day. I know I've been saying for the last week I'm a bit under the weather. I genuinely am struggling to stay awake during the days, but I've got so much stuff to do. I can't afford to even have like a 20-minute bloody cat nap. So but this is all a preamble to say I hope to get onto the Discord server more. If you are a member of this channel, if you go to the posts for this channel, there is a link in the posts that only members can see, and that should give you a link to the actual Discord server. And there you can continue the conversation with other people from this gang. And SG says, "What lovely people here. Love you all." Oh, yes, yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I mean, honestly, doing this is a joy. It really is. It's once therapy, because honestly, if I got up every morning and just read the news and just went and had to like internalize it and couldn't have a chance to sort of talk it through and go, "What the fuck?" and have someone else go, "What the fuck?" with me, and we can all go, "What the fuck?" together. So I didn't feel so like isolated and alone. I'd probably go mad. But the other thing is just having that sort of, you know, the aside from, you know, not going mad, but, you know, genuine friendships that we have built because of this channel, and people who get to know each other and build up this network of people who are politically active, and we don't agree on everything, clearly, but like, you know, we want the same stuff overall, which is a better life for everyone. Oh, just people getting on with each other. We don't want war. We don't want famine. We don't want climate change destroying everything. We don't want these billionaires getting away with murder. We just want some kind of like peace and justice. Wouldn't that be nice? Peace and justice, my friends. And, you know, having that sort of the sense of camaraderie and the therapy that comes with that, and also the knowledge that you're not alone. It's heartwarming. It's heartwarming. Anyway, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop going on about how wonderful you are and have a look back at the papers, which is terrible. So come with me. Come on, let's go and have a look at the papers again. How to exercise to burn more fat. God, fad diets. Jesus Christ. Anyone for Gwyneth's Topless Fry Up? What? Topless Fry? Oh my God. What is even happening right now? Don't make a fry up without a top on. Like, honestly, believe me, if that fat in the fry up spits at you and you're not wearing it, believe me, you don't want that. I've been in very, very hot countries where I've had like a shirt on and it's been kind of open because it's so hot, and I've been doing a fry up and mate, no, put a fucking penny on if you have to. Jesus. Maybe that's all you wear. Maybe just do it in a penny, but like, seriously, just cover your front. Jesus. What a stupid idea. Anyway, Sir Keir Starmer is greeted by Chief Darcy Dixon of the Bearspaw First Nation after arriving in Canada for the G7 summit in Alberta. That's a fantastic picture. I really like that picture. Trump fails to back G7 call for Israel to cease fire. Ethnicity brushed aside in grooming gang inquiries. Landmark report reveals authorities used flawed data to dismiss concerns. Disproportionate numbers of Asian men have been responsible for child sex grooming gangs, but successive governments and authorities have failed to address their crimes for fear of being branded racist or raising tensions, a Landmark review has found. And somewhat ironic that this happened under the Tories' watch. The Tories who, you know, you'd think they'd be up for a bit of demonization of any particular ethnic class, ethnic grouping. Here's what Casey said. The police should be mandated to collect ethnicity and nationality data for all suspects in child sex abuse and criminal exploitation cases. There is a good reason for this, and it's not about being a massive racist or placating the likes of Tommy Ten Names and his gobshite mates. This is more to do with the fact that if someone commits a crime against a child and they're actually a national of another country, we can deport them to that other country, and therefore we don't have to pay for them being in jail. And also it serves as a little bit of a, I don't know, something that might put off people from indulging in that kind of disgusting behavior. Next up, authorities held an ambivalent attitude to teenage girls who were too often judged as adults, leading them to be criminalized for offenses they committed while being groomed. So this is about how rapists of children got away with it, while the children, the victims, were actually charged with criminal offenses for prostitution, even though they were children and they were groomed. And this happened a disturbing amount. Victims criminalized for offenses such as child prostitution should have their criminal convictions expunged. Couldn't agree with that more. And an overhaul of rape laws were needed to introduce mandatory rape charges for all adults who have sex with 13 to 15-year-olds. Couldn't agree with that more as well. That there's been some leeway in these cases where the man was only like 17 or 18, but I think that's got to stop. That has got to stop. That kind of leeway. I honestly think 16 is a bit young. I think it should be 18. Genuinely think it should be 18, not for the age of consent, but if you're a 16-year-old getting a 16-year-old, fair enough. 17-year-old, whatever, at that same age group, the same year in school. But when you've got an 18-year-old going out with a 16-year-old, that makes me feel uneasy. And then when it's someone like that guy who looks like the melted candle from the Big Mighty Boosh, he does Bake Off now. What's his name? What's his name? Noel Fielding. Noel Fielding, when he was in his 30s, was going out with Peaches Geldof, and she was 16. She was 16, and I'm sorry, that's just a bit too. That's he was picking her up from school. Same with Russell Brand. He was going out with a 16-year-old at one point. He will pick her up from school. That makes me feel deeply, deeply uneasy. And at the moment, that's illegal, and I don't think that it should be. And you can call me a prude or whatever you want, but I just think it opens up the gates for older men to take advantage of young teenagers. Taxi licensing laws. This is something that I didn't even know about. So the next point here is taxi licensing laws need tightening up because men were continuing to use them to prey on vulnerable girls. So a little bit more about this, right? So places like Rotherham, they really tightened up their rules on who they gave licenses to drive taxis, because obviously if you're a taxi driver, you are in a position, and I had a friend who had a horrific experience with a taxi driver in Birmingham. And the safeguarding rules vary from council to council, right? So in Rotherham, for instance, you've got to get like 100% on the safeguarding test. They do background checks, and you've got to have a clean criminal record. You got to have no past prior convictions for any kind of sexual related diseases, offences, anything like that, right? Here's the thing. You can get your license from anywhere. You can get your license from Dorset and then drive a cab in Rotherham. So that needs to be changed. That needs to be updated. There needs to be a national system where the requirements for getting a license as a taxi driver when you're going to be driving vulnerable young people around, vulnerable young people who might be drunk around, to ensure that you don't get a license to do that if you aren't as clean as a whistle, squeaky clean. Ministers should commission research into factors behind group-based child exploitation, including online offending and cultural aspects. So, this is from Baroness Casey's independent audit, which was put in place in January by Starmer's government to see, What have we already got? What have we already investigated? What have we seen? What more needs to be done? Instead of just launching straight into an inquiry and going, okay, we don't really know what you're looking for. We don't know what this need. We don't know what we need you to be doing, but we're going to start an inquiry straight away. And obviously the Tories have jumped on this and called it a U-turn. It's not a U-turn. In the same way, and I know I made fun of it about Rachel Reeves' fucking U-turn, right? On the winter fuel allowance, right? It wasn't really a U-turn. Because what they did was they took something that all pensioners got and then they made it means tested. They haven't U-turned on that. It's still means tested. But it's not means tested in a way that costs the government shitloads of money. The way it works now is everybody gets it, and if you're earning over $35,000 a year, they recoup it in tax. That's it. Which you might think that's a cockamamie way of doing it, but they must have done the sums and worked out that it's cheaper to do it that way. Now to go back over to the papers, there is a Daily Express here. Britain will bask in 32-degree heat wave by the weekend. Not here in Durham, we won't. Got me thick lumberjack shirt on. We're all good here. Grooming Victim calls for every council and police force to be investigated. I have no problem with that. Let's uncover a lot of truth in sex gangs inquiry. And there's a picture of the woman from the family down the road. Same picture as the other one. She's like this. I could do that. Jaunty angle. Right, come on. Let's do this. Let's do this. Jaunty angle. How do I look? Is that good? Okay, good. Right. Back to the serious shit. A rape gang victim has demanded every council and police force is investigated over grooming. It might come to that. So it's going to be a massive inquiry. It's going to be huge, what goes ahead. And I hope that we get to the bottom of it. And I hope that people are brought to book for covering up these horrific crimes, for victim blaming, for pursuing prosecutions against the girls who were trafficked, who were groomed. And boys as well. This wasn't just girls. I mean, this is a blight on the consciousness of the world. But can I just also point out that Starmer commissioned Baroness Casey's inquiry into the inquiry, right? This audit, this report into what we've got and where we are, before Elon Musk started tweeting about child grooming gangs, which he only started doing in February. So it's not like they responded to whatever Tommy 10 Names was demanding, or whatever Kemi Badenoch was saying, or whatever fucking Elon Musk was saying. It didn't happen. And there you go. People didn't believe it was real. The pros and pitfalls of raffling your home. I'm seriously, I could raffle my island, couldn't I? And that'd be a fun raffle. Get 1 million people to put £1 in. Raffle off my island. Israel warns Iranians to flee as deadly air raids continue. Evacuation order comes amid speculation Tehran may leave nuclear treaty. And these are Iranians mourn during a funeral for military personnel killed yesterday in Israeli airstrikes in Karamabad, central Iran. Ethnicity of grooming gangs shied away from. A culture of blindness, ignorance, and prejudice led to the repeated failures over decades to properly investigate cases in which children suffered from appalling abuse and violence from grooming gangs. A report into the scandal has said so that the government's as a public inquiry is going to take place. Here's Nadine Dorries. For some reason, I don't know why the fail needs to do this. Jaw-dropping sexism, a self-appointed expert witness who helped convict Lucy Letby. So she's on the whole Lucy Letby can't be guilty trip. Finally, left-wing establishment accepts truth. Left-wing conspiracy of silence over race doomed thousands of a race. Doomed thousands of girls to abuse. Public bodies covered up sickening evidence of Asian grooming gangs for fear of appearing racist. A major report found yesterday. There's a bit more nuance to that. But what I want to do is, while we're looking at the Daily Mail, I just want to show you something that friend of the channel had to put up with back in the day. So here we go. I want to make this open link in new window. Oh no! I just want to open it in a new tab. Hang on. Open image in new tab. Right, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna just have a look at this here. Stop trying to sign me into things, you bastard. Okay, so hopefully this will work. There we go. So here's Charlotte Church here on the left of the screen. This is from the Daily Mail, right? In 2000, I think. And on the right here, we have perv spoof bosses axe wrestling. Out of touch comedy bosses who let a comedy about paedophiles be screened are set to ditch wrestling because it's too extreme. Six show goes on regardless. Channel 4 went ahead with the repeat of brass eye satire about paedophiles last night, despite nearly 1,000 complaints at the station. Calls flooded in after the programme was first shown on Thursday night. Okay? And this is literally, this hasn't been put together. This is not a montage. On the left-hand side of the screen is Charlotte Church, who at this age, she was 15 years old. 15 years old. This is the Daily Mail. She's a big girl now. Child, capital letters, singing sensation. Charlotte Church just showed how quickly she's grown up. So on the same page that they are complaining about Brass Eye's paedophile special, where they right royally took the piss out the media and the way that they respond to acts of unspeakable violence against children, have a picture of a 15-year-old and an article about her tits. So I want to say this on behalf of everyone in the universe. Daily Mail, fuck off. Okay, now we'll go back to the other papers. Fucking twats. The I paper, generation of girls let down by police, councils and MPs who ignored UK grooming gangs. Authorities shied away from ethnicity of perpetrators, report by Baroness Casey concludes. We've also got the Inside War, Iran State TV attacked live on air. We've also got police using AI tool that looks at people's sex lives and political beliefs, which is run by Planeteer, which is going to be running absolutely everything. The NHS is going to be running the police, going to be running the army. This is run by a guy called Peter Thiel, who you need to know the name of because he's a fucking scumbag. He's got links with apartheid South Africa. He set up PayPal with Elon Musk. He is a Nazi. He's an out-and-out fucking Nazi. And goodbye admin load, how to delegate to your husband. Okay. And Metro is just another word for fear. Carlos Santana on LSD and forgiveness. Oh, sounds like an interesting thing to read. Let's move on. Reservoir dregs, hosepipe bans assert, because of the fact that we didn't build any reservoirs. And of course, on the front cover of the Telegraph, there's a picture of the woman wearing a hat at the jaunty angle because of some reason. Kate gets the garter giggles, it says. I really couldn't give a fuck. My rowing club rival who rose to the top of MI6. This is a woman who's now head of MI6. And asylum seekers behind new grooming gangs cases. But Baroness Casey reveals large portion of investigations include non-Britons. Yeah, but not necessarily asylum seekers. But where they are asylum seekers, yes, they should be deported back to the country that they are claiming asylum from as punishment for abusing young women. I've no problem with that. I've no problem with that. You know, I'm a bit law and order when it comes to it. I just, you know, I don't like people getting away with it. But I don't like rapists getting away with it. I don't like Trump getting away with it because he's a rapist. I don't like, you know, Russell Brand getting away with it because he's a rapist. You know, these people, they're rich, they're powerful. rich, powerful men do horrible things to women and they get away with it. So can I have it across the board? If we're going to deport people who are asylum seekers who are found guilty of committing horrific acts against children, can we do the same to the likes of Russell Brand and people like that? You know, find them guilty, make it easier to get a guilty sentence for these motherfuckers instead of always coming down on the side of the perpetrator. Oh, they were just misunderstood. Do you remember that kid in America who raped an unconscious woman behind a skip in America, and he got like 6 months. He got a 6 months jail sentence that was commuted to 3 months. He only served 3 months in jail because the judge said, "Oh, he was a bright young lad and he had a lot to give and a lot to look forward to." No, he was white and rich. That's what he was. So he got away with one of these horrific acts of violence. Israel pushes Iran to the brink with state TV blackout. Iran is losing the war with Israel, Donald Trump has said, as Tehran's state broadcaster was blown up live on air, which is all kinds of terrifying. Scotland to dump its bin bags in England, which I kind of find funny, actually. I probably shouldn't, but yeah, okay. Makes a change, doesn't it? Eh? Owen Farrell here, a rugby star, bearing his soul. Duchess of York, there's a woman from the family. She's kind of on the periphery because she got divorced in the 90s, but she's still there. There she is. My public and private torment. We've got PM Smoky Bacon surrender to Brussels. So Keir Starmer is being accused of smoky bacon surrender after it emerged British crisp manufacturers must change their recipes because of his Brexit deal. Brussels has banned 8 flavourings and methods which are still allowed in Britain, including those used for smoky bacon crisp. Now, the Prime Minister has agreed to dynamically align with the EU rules on food safety. These flavourings will have to be modified. So what? Fucking modify them. It's not like you're not going to be able to have another flavouring. The other flavourings are available. They just cost a little bit more. And they're safer. And I'd like to have high standards in my food. I don't know about you, but I just like that. TSB for sale as Spanish owners flee the UK market. Well, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Hidden away in the corner there in the business section. Next up, we've got The Independent. We've got Charlotte Philby. My grandfather was a double agent. It makes sense for the MI6 chief to be a woman. I mean, Kim Philby was a famous double agent, a spy for the what they called the dickheads, the Soviet Union. Do you reckon Charlotte went to private school? Should we look up Charlotte Philby to see what she's doing with her life? No, it's not spelt with a F, Graham. Charlotte Philby, critically acclaimed author. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Well, she got a book deal, didn't she? I wonder how she got a book deal. I bet she revisited Kim in Moscow. Okay. Charlotte Philby talks about her grandfather, a Soviet spy. Kim, so she's a successful author, but there's no Wikipedia about her. Where's her Wikipedia page? Oh, there it is. No, there's no Wikipedia. She hasn't got a Wikipedia page. That's fucking rubbish. How is she on the front cover of The Independent talking about shit and she hasn't even got a fucking Wikipedia page? I've got a Wikipedia page. I've got 2 Guinness World Records. Yeah. I mean, Ripley's, believe it or not, why aren't I on the front? Why aren't they asking my opinion on shit? My grandfather was a traitor. Oh, okay. Part of the aristocracy. Oh, I get it. It's like that, is it? Anyway, Iran TV bombed on air as Netanyahu declares Israel is on the path to victory. Of course, he's going to say that. Too much denial, too little justice, clear evidence of overrepresentation of Pakistani men amongst suspects. Report finds failure to record offenders' ethnicity was appalling, says Baroness Louise Casey. Children and teenage girls were blamed for crimes against them and must be cleared. Government issues fresh apology for damning findings and will review old cases. And the government's taking responsibility, but really this was under the Tories. This is what the Tories allowed these gangs to get away with. Blindness, ignorance, prejudice, defensiveness. Report said authorities feared looking racist. No ethnicity data kept nationally by police, which is surprising because you think they'd be all over that. And then we've got Gideon Rachman. The Iranian regime's rage and desire for vengeance should not be underestimated. There's an article there. And then Israel claims control of Tehran skies. Netanyahu hails shifting campaign, but key nuclear plant remains intact. At least 224 Iranian civilians killed, with 24 lives lost in retaliatory strikes. Trump says Iran not winning and urges return to the negotiating table. And there we have Iranian state television reports on an Israeli airstrike on its own Tehran headquarters. That looks fucking terrifying. JP Morgan's European chief to join wave of bankers overseeing UK units from US. JP Morgan's European chief is planning to relocate from London to New York while keeping his role running the bank's Europe, Middle East, and Africa business. So there you go. People with power doing powerful things. Okay. Who else have we got here? I'm extremely suspicious of the right wingers getting on board with this Lucy Letby conspiracy. Although if she is, so be it. I mean, it is in some cases, in some respects. Sorry, not cases. In some respects, it is an argument to incredulity. Like, how can that many babies die while this woman was involved in their in their care? I think there is an investigation to be had into the handling of it by the hospital, but I do think that it does stretch the boundaries of incredulity that someone could possibly be involved in that many deaths and near deaths of babies, and there not to be some foul play involved. And I really, really doubt they would be going to bat for the innocence of this woman if she was from a different ethnic background or a different religious background, or just from a different country. I'm strongly of the opinion is that didn't want to be racist, an excuse for can't be bothered. They're only poor girls, kind of like couldn't vote for the black woman because eggs, says Anne. Yeah, I think that's another point to this. There's some deeply entrenched misogyny in British society. This idea that young women deserve what they get when they're assaulted, when they're abused. This mentality of, well, how much you've been drinking. We shouldn't have gone out dressed like that. The victim blaming mentality that has gone on all my life. We've seen this victim blaming happening and this knee-jerk reaction to protect the perpetrators. And it even happens on this channel sometimes when, you say about someone clearly being a wronger and like, well, it hasn't been proved in the court of law yet, Graham. And I'm like, give a fuck about a court of law. I mean, court of public opinion should always be on the side of the victim, because 99 times out of 100, they're telling the truth. But I think there's a lot of men out there, and possibly some women, whose first reaction is when they see someone's done something horrible is, I must defend the perpetrator of this horrible action. I must defend them. I must defend their honor. And I'm like, why? Why are you defending their honor? Like, what the fuck? And I mention again that Jimmy Savile never went to court for his crimes. I think he fucking did them. I think he was guilty. Idi Amin never got sentenced, never got put on trial. He died an old man in a little mini palace that they built for him in Saudi Arabia to live out the rest of his horrible little fucking godforsaken days. I don't doubt for a second that he murdered thousands of disabled people who they literally drowned in a lake. They took them out to a lake, to Lake Victoria, and they drowned them. They threw them in the water. They threw disabled people in the fucking water. Hundreds of them, thousands of them. The man was a fucking monster. He was never brought to book for that. Hitler never stood trial. Did he not do the things that he didn't? Guilty until innocent until proven guilty. No, only in the minds of the jury in the case. The rest of us, if we think someone fucking did something, it's our prerogative to say it. And conversely, if we don't think they did it, it's our prerogative to say it as well. It's up to us. There are some cases where it could influence a jury if you are on the TV or you're on social media and you've got a big platform and you come out saying some bit of evidence that isn't relevant to the case or could prejudice a jury. and you run the risk of a mistrial, but that's it. There's a trial going ahead, and you've got that kind of platform. Most of us don't. And just this idea that we can't even say, well, just look at him. It's obviously fucking guilty as hell. When you think of someone like Russell Brand or Jimmy Savile, or whatever, just look at them. Creepy fucking weirdo who, thinks they're the God's fucking gift, and that women should appreciate the chance to be with them. I don't know if anyone's watched the new Adam Curtis documentary called Shifty on BBC iPlayer, but it starts with a shot of Jimmy Savile with a bunch of kids and knocking on the door, and Margaret Thatcher opens the door and the kids go in, and Jimmy Savile, just the way he moves, the way he holds himself, just everything about him is creepy as fuck. He is straight out of a horror film. It's like Slender Man meets fucking Long Legs meets just this, the way he moves, just everything about him is just off. And like how the people in the BBC kept him employed for years, for decades, in jobs on Jim Will Fix It and Top of the Pops, where they knew he would be around children, when they knew the rumours that were going round. Those are the people I want to see put in jail now. I want them not to just be like, oh, we'll do an inquiry, lessons learned, No, I want those motherfuckers in jail. I want the motherfuckers who work for Channel 4 and the BBC who turned a blind eye to Russell Brand's behaviour. I want them in jail as well. Come on, fair's fair. If we're going to put these nonces, these rapists, these sex offenders, if we're going to put them in jail, then we should put the people who enabled them as well. And institutions that enabled these disgusting people, they should be brought to book, and they should be fined money, and that money should go to a pot of money for the victims. Why should we pay for it? Why should we, as the taxpayer, pay for these private schools like Ampleforth that protected a paedophile for years, for decades? Why should we protect? Why should we pay? Why should that private enterprise still be going? Why are people still sending their kids to Ampleforth and other schools, other private schools around the country that have had these teachers that have abused children for years? And when any child was brave enough to bring this up with their parents or with the schoolmaster, nothing was done. There you go. Parents of kids, when the kid said to them, I am being abused, and the parents said, oh, don't be silly. The parents of children who are abused by Jimmy Savile, the parents of children who are abused by these grooming gangs, who were told by their kid, by their own child, that they were being abused, and they went, oh, don't make a big fuss about it. It's your own fault, really, if you think about it. They should be put in fucking jail as well. I know there's not enough jail places for all these motherfuckers, but I feel like they should at least have some form of punishment. Maybe put them on the sex offenders register, so they never work around children again. But that's unfair, Graham. It wasn't them who were abusing children. Yes. But if you allow the enablers to work around children, this will happen again and again and again. And like I said, when it comes to stuff like fairness, I am a bit of an absolutist when it comes to justice. It sickens me when people get away with doing horrific things and suffer no ill consequences as a result. And that's possibly why Trump and Elon Musk and Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock, just the hatred I have for those men in the core of me, it's like the flame. It's the burning inferno of 1,000 stars. Like, that's how much I fucking hate them. When any of those motherfuckers cark it, I am going to be dancing on their graves. I am going to be fucking dance revolution, setting up those pads. I'm going to do a little TikTok me and a friend, and we're gonna have a dance-off competition on their motherfucking graves. And I want the tabloids to say, "Oh, how disrespectful! How disrespectful! Oh, it's so disrespectful that you disrespected this great man." No, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Their graves should smell of piss and be a fucking piss-stoked dance floor. Just like those ones that used to light up in the 1980s. That's what we want. Just think there are adults today who can remember sitting on Jimmy's knee and asking for a favour so we could fix it for him. Yeah, says Captain Coconut. Yeah. I've done jury service. You have to have compelling evidence to convict someone. You don't give a guilty verdict on a hunch, but miscarriage of justice does happen. Tricky case. Yeah. And like, when a miscarriage of justice does happen, there needs to be proper compensation put in place. But also, I mean, there needs to be, mechanisms for reopening cases where new evidence comes in. But you find a lot of the time that courts are fucking whelmed. They're overwhelmed with the new cases coming in, never mind reopening old ones. And while that's the case, it's going to be very difficult to sort out these miscarriages of justice. But there is some kind of unhappy medium to be found between letting these rapists get away with it, letting the enablers of these rapists get away with it, and locking every man up. Which is something that's been mooted on this channel as a solution to the world's problems. Lock up all the men. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah. And then they have to prove they're not a wrong one, and then we'll let them out. But yeah, there must be a happy medium. Unhappy medium in this case. My mate had a photo taken with Jimmy Savile. I'm sure she's burnt it to the ground. I had my photo taken with either Hugh Edwards, and that photo won't see the light again either. Yeah. Savile's grave overlooking Scarborough was removed to prevent it being used as a WC. Yes, it was. And Diddy, they don't do it to their own. They get help. Them helpers are just as guilty. Yeah. Same with Diddy. Yeah, Tina, the enablers, the enablers. Thatcher loved and protected Savile. She did, but so did the BBC. I mean, they knew. They fucking knew. In the inquiry that they had in the wake of the Savile, the Savile inquiry, in the wake of Savile's death, and this all coming out, showed that the BBC knew. So why has no one gone to jail for it? Why don't I know the names of the commissioning editors and the studio runners, not the runners, the show runners, as opposed to runners, which is it's quite funny in TV, right? So you've got or film, you've got your runners who are like the lowest level on the thing, who go and get the tea. They go and fetch the tea. They sort out the guests. They're a runner. They go and do tasks. They go to Starbucks and get people coffee, right? And then you've got the showrunner, which is the most important role, right? In the same way, in a film, you have the director, which is the person who runs the show in a film. I mean, it all comes down to them. And then you've got the assistant director, who is an assistant to the director. They go and get the tea for the director. But they get this grandiose title of assistant director. And the best boy is someone who helps the gaffer. He's in charge of the electrics, I think. I love they're called the best boy. The best, they're the best. You are the best. You best boy. Thank you. You are the best. Yeah, along with the focus puller and the dolly grip. I've always wanted to be a dolly grip. I told my dad off for being rude about Savile for his looks and hair and silly laugh. I said he did a lot for charity. My dad was right, though. As we now know, he had quite an instinct for dodginess. Yeah. Captain says Thatcher knighted him, ignoring advice not to do that. I hear you, Matey Graham is just going off the court's decision. However, it's become clear that a miscarriage of justice may have happened in that case. I mean, we don't know. And if they are going to reopen it, and it's just, if you're talking about Lucy Letby, if they are going to reopen this case, I guess like it's a difficult case to prove. Most murder cases solve themselves because it's usually a incident that happens between two people who know each other, usually intimately, and they just admit to it. Whoever did the murder admits to it. There's self-solving cases. About 9 out of 10 murders are self-solvers. It's just that 1 in 10 where there's some grey area and it goes to court. The person claims that they didn't do it. You got to prove they did. It can be quite difficult, but you're looking at a handful of cases. So there's about 600 murders a year in England and Wales. Not that many murders. We don't have that many murders in this country. But of those 600 murders, you've got about 588 murderers, because some of them might have murdered more than one person. I'd say 550 murderers. 500 of them just give up straight away. They say, "Yep, did it. That was me. I did that." You know, they're covered in blood. There's no two ways about it. They're told that if they plead guilty, they'll be given a lesser sentence. They might not get a whole life sentence. If they plead guilty, they might only get like 30 years, and they'll be up for parole in 15. So they go, "Okay, well, I'll take that." Right. Yeah, if you actually drill down into the actual number of murder cases each year, it's not that many. It's not that where the alleged perpetrator is claiming innocence and it goes to a full court with a full jury and everything. They are quite rare. I think they worked out, like, statistically, there's more murders in midsummer than like a vast swathe of the country. That drawing that kid made of Savile was seriously disturbing. That stuck with me. I'd not seen that, but now I don't want to. Thanks to that, Perry. Veg Pie says, same as there's a TV, there's a program editor, as in a showrunner, and then there's an editor who puts together the picture and the sound. Yeah, good point. Good point. So the editor on a TV show is often the most, especially on like a documentary or something, that's like the most important role in that TV show is the editor. And then you got the program editor. It's very confusing. There's, what working on a theatre production or on a movie set or whatever, or TV studio reminds me of sailing. Do you know why? Because they have their own fucking lingo, right, to describe stuff. So, for instance, in like film, I think like someone's got to correct me in the chat or something. Isn't this called like a C-57? Isn't it a C-57? It's a closed peg. It's a closed peg. But I'm pretty sure that it's called a C-57 in film. Hang on, I'm going to look this up now. Closed peg. Did I dream this? C-47. So I got the number wrong. Why are clothespins referred to as C-47s? There you go. There's a question on Reddit about this. I heard the studios wouldn't pay for clothespins, but wouldn't question something that sounded technical, like C-47. Okay. Originated in the BBC, where full itemized inventories need to be handed in for budget and stock control, even the numbers of sheets of papers for scripts, memos, etc. by production. A code was required for each item, and there's no standard designation. The title CP47 was applied to clothes pegs as they were clothes peg CP, and they came in boxes of 47. Due to a huge expanse of BBC operations, the term spread to other British broadcasters, to the film industry, and evidently overseas. Over the years, the term has spread out to C47. So there you go. So if you're on a boat, sailors do this really fucking annoying thing, right? Where you say, pass the rope, and they go, it's not a rope, it's a sheet. Oh, there's someone in the toilet. It's not a toilet, it's a head. And you've got to learn the lingo. It's the same in film. They make up these stupid fucking names for stuff. And it's like, if you know, you know. But if you don't know, you're in trouble. So if someone says, get me a box of C-47s, and you're like, it's my first day, I don't know. Do you know what? We used to do that. We used to do that in my dad's garage, actually. Just make up technical shit that didn't exist. When a trainee would turn up, we'd ask them to go and get something like really daffy. Anyway, so it's a bit like that as well. Anyway, sounds like Star Wars Chancellor list where R2D2 and C3PO. Yeah, lovely to be with people who agree, says Jimmy. It's not conclusive. It's hard to take a case seriously if it's supported by a twat like Davis. As a convicted criminal, I'm aware the police do mess up. They collected evidence to take down the 2 county lines gangs and just left them alone. That is madness. My partner isn't there. She remains convinced that Letby has been scapegoated for multiple mistakes, not just her own. Vendetta says, hearing the doctors on the documentary, they didn't want the heat and wanted it to go away fast. Yeah, indeed. Exactly, Graham, says Alistair. C47, that doesn't go with a bank. Spirit level bubbles. Sky hooks and elbow grease. That's the ones. Get the sky hooks. So get me a box of elbow grease. That was always funny. And spirit level bubbles. Tartan paint. Yes, Kate. I remember that. Get the tartan paint. It's military in military nomenclature, a can opener is a P38. There you go. You see. I love this. I love that there are different. Depending on your profession, you have your own secret code to refer to stuff. So you can just go, well, actually, it's not a rope, it's a halyard. Technically speaking, if you like correcting people, which everyone does, I mean, bit top tip, right? Do not put on your Tinder profile, Grindr, Bumble, whatever. Do not put, I like to correct people, okay? I know we all do. But it's not something that people go for in other people. They're like, I love it when you correct me. I love it when you put me right. Now, I genuinely like being corrected on this show because what I hate even more than being corrected is saying something and it's wrong and then it's out there in the ether and it hasn't been corrected. So sometimes I might say something or misspeak. I might say the wrong word. I told you before, haven't I? The time I went to India. And I've got the footage of me arriving in India, and I'm like walking down the street going, so I've just arrived in Egypt, and I can't wait to go and see the Taj Mahal, and I watched it back, and I went, I said Egypt. I can't go back and redo that. I don't know. But yeah, sometimes I misspeak. So it's good to have the chat, because it'll be like, Graham, you said blah, 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 and what you meant was blah, blah, blah. So that's always good. So even if I don't notice, and I don't notice that someone calls me out about it, at least it's on the record. You know, the Hansard has been corrected. Thank you very much. A man went to the pub with a giraffe. The giraffe got legless and passed out, says Peace. As the man left the barman, he said, you can't leave that lion there. The man said, it's not a lion, it's a giraffe. I need me squeaky sound effect. We need to get my squeak. I'm going to make a note. Squeaky sound effect. Squeaky wheels of the squeaky tank. And we can have like a joke off. That'll be fun. So there's a tarmac pub, and all the tarmacs in the pub having a drink, and then this red bit of tarmac comes in, and everybody hides. And one of the bits of tarmac says to another one, "Why are we hiding?" He goes, you don't want to mess with him, mate. He's a bit of a psychopath. Squeak, 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 squeak. Graham equals G47. Why am I a G47? I'm G79. G79? Could it be G79? Gee whiz. It's easier to find spirit level bubbles than an honest Tory or a fucker. It's produced Taj Mahal, not Mahal. I'm sorry, Vendetta, for pronouncing Taj Mahal wrong. Have you seen Mitchell and Webb's Grammar Nazi sketch? It says espresso, and it's espresso. Honestly, I when something is wrongly pronounced, I do feel that urge just to go, actually, it's pronounced like this. But then again, people pronounce things differently depending on where they're from. An inherent A in the H after the syllable is pronounced as an E. Sahar is the same. Sahar says Vendetta. I don't know this. Why do I know all these jokes, says Lee Korn? Because they're corny jokes, mate, and you are Lee Con. Great genius. If you don't get the laugh for the joke, you're guaranteed one for the squeak. Exactly. Because it's like the duff from above. You know, before on Shooting Stars, Vic and Bob, before they did, because he'll tell a really shit joke about a dove, wouldn't he? And then they'll have the tumbleweeds, and the sound of the wind, and the bell tolling in the distance. So yeah, squeaky sound effect plus joke. So we'll have like a joke of the day, and it'll be followed by the squeaky sound effect each time. We'll do that. I know enough jokes. I'm sure I can get it going for at least a few weeks. Schrodinger's cat walks into a bar and doesn't. Very good. Someone hates being called Farage. Good. No way did you just talk about pronouncing things. Shame, says Higara, or Higara, or Higara. I don't know. Or Higara. I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, people pronounce things differently because they're from different places. Like an Australian will pronounce something differently to a Liverpudlian. They will, Crickets, says Sarah Davis. Chat, you stay safe and well. Have a good day wherever you are. That's Alistair signing off. I'm going to sign off as well because it's 10:30 and I've got loads of shit to do. I'll try and stay awake for it. So, listen, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back at 7:30 tonight with Geoscope with Ollie. We'll be talking about the G7 summit and what's come of it and whether it's worth doing anymore and how Russia's feeling about or butthurt about it. And yes, I pronounce it like Garage Farage. Yeah, so do I. Farage makes him sound... Farage. Hate him. Goofy meth. Right. The turd identifying... Mark Francois, the turd identifying as a Tory MP. Francois. I pronounce it Nazi fascist. Nigel fascist. Oh, you like the Nigel Fascist Party? Yeah, I like that. I'm going to write that down. Nigel Fascist. Yeah. Okay. I spelled fascist wrong. Jesus Christ, I missed the second S. Maloney was looking at Dommy Mommy again. Looking like my Dommy Mommy again. Oh, Jesus. Each to their own. Okay, listen, you take care of yourselves. I'll see you at 7:30 tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Give us a like on the way out, because we always like a like on this channel. Thanks so much for the super chats. I really appreciate that. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.